What's going on, everybody? My name is C4. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're here for our second ever Madden 26 Realistic Rebuild. A realistic rebuild is where we take a real draft class of college players, currently the most popular players, dominating players, exciting players in the world of college football. We bring them over into Madden and see if they can help our team win a Super Bowl. And today we're going to be rebuilding. I saw a lot of comments on our first realistic rebuild of the Tennessee Titans to do the Ravens. And the Ravens aren't usually a team you think of rebuilding at the beginning of like a new series because they're the Ravens. They're usually really good. They're really good in Madden. But I think, applying some real life context here, the Ravens are 1-5 here. We're using the start today where everything is up to date. Everything is realistic. It's, you go back to that loss against the Texans and it's just, things aren't great for the Baltimore Ravens. So I think there's no better time. There's no more interesting time to truly see if we can kind of hit like a slight reset with the Baltimore Ravens and get this team where they need to be. The expectations after this Week 7 bye is that Lamar Jackson will be returning to the starting lineup, so that is going to be huge help for us. I mean, there's an argument made over the last 3 years. There's no better quarterback in the NFL, but for the context of this Ravens team and where Lamar Jackson's at in his career, he's 28 years old, right? He's not getting any younger, and for a quarterback that has got so much athletic talent, the older he gets, the less you're going to see of that. I think Lamar's done a great job kind of tailoring his game. And I'm going to, this point that I'm about to make is going to help us out in just a second. They're like, look, 41 touchdowns last year, 4 picks. Yes, he had almost 1,000 yards rushing. But, I think a key context here is that he's running less. Like 80 yards, 70 yards. We're now down to 50. The reason why I say Lamar Jackson, as he gets older and more mature, he's trying to become, a pocket passer and not rely on that athleticism is you may notice in the top right corner, we have gone ahead and fired John Harbaugh. I think with Harbaugh, it's just a holding pattern. It's just like, okay, you want to be a consistently decent team. Honestly, maybe, Mike Tomlin could be in the same discussion of just like, all right, teams never going to be terrible for the most part. And I think you can say that injuries have certainly played a part for the Baltimore Ravens in their 1-5 start. But it just feels like Harbaugh doesn't have what it takes to get this Ravens team over the hump to finally beat, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Buffalo Bills, consistently be like the Ravens, the S-tier team, the team that is the team to beat in the AFC. So I did some deep dive over on Ravens Twitter, over on the Ravens Reddit, seeing what they were saying. And it seems like most fans are out on Harbaugh. Some people think he might get a little bit longer leash because of the injuries this year, but I just see over the last 3 years, including this year, it's like this is a team that needs a reset. So who is the top name to potentially come in and replace? What is the name that fans want to see come in and be the new head coach? And it seemed like it was fairly split between Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator of the Minnesota Vikings, and Jesse Minter, the defensive coordinator for John Harbaugh's brother Jim up in LA. So that is what we're going to do. We're going to hire a defensive head coach here in Jesse Minter. And that's going to give us a little bit of fun, a little bit of variance, because we're going to go with the Chargers playbook. When you think of dual threat quarterback, best playbook for a dual threat quarterback, it's the Ravens. The Ravens will have Lamar Jackson rush for like 1,000 yards. And you flirt with 1,000 yards, but his passing numbers kind of don't really reflect in Madden where he's at in real life. So it's going to be Chargers. Minter's going to bring over his own offensive coordinator. He's going to bring over his own ideas on defense, which are probably very similar to like the Mike Macdonald era of this Baltimore Ravens defense. But we're going to have a little bit of fun here. We're not just going to cheese this, keep Lamar Jackson running for 1,000 yards every single year as he matures. No, we are going to have him continue to refine his game as a pocket passer, and we'll use his athleticism when need be with this new playbook. And honestly, I'm very excited to see, Chargers playbook is not definitely like an overpowered playbook by any means, but I've seen Justin Herbert right up there in the MVP race. I've seen Justin Herbert also have pretty decent scrambling numbers as well. I think it could work. It might not, but I think it will. We'll give it a shot. And we won't just quickly give up on it. Maybe we'll give it a year or two. But I'm excited to see just what a refreshed Baltimore Ravens team can look like and play like here in this Madden 26 rebuild. So let's meet the roster. We're ahead of the trade deadline. We're 1-5, so you could make the argument that maybe the Baltimore Ravens would be sellers at this time. The offensive line, you got Stanley, whose best football is, he's at his peak. He's only going to regress from here on out. You can make the argument that we're going to need 2 guards. Linderbaum at center sick. But also, like, I'm not 100% sure what the Baltimore Ravens salary cap situation is going to look like. We'll see in a sec. Because Linderbaum is like a common free agent. Like, he's usually one of those guys that's consistently hitting free agency. So I'm a little worried that we might not have the funds to afford it. We have Rosengarten, second year, right tackle, 75. Maybe there will be something there. But I'm looking at this rebuild as the offensive line is going to have to take a priority. At tight end, you have Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. I think Isaiah Likely has shown flashes that he could be a starting tight end in this league. Mark Andrews has not had the best 2-year stretch. I think, he could be a very plausible trade candidate. I'm not too sure what the open market would dictate for Mark Andrews. And there, Marius Mims. The Bengals, I don't really think the Bengals will do that. Obviously, we got to do a realistic trade. But, I mean, seeing all these names, this would be like one of those ones where we could just easily pivot and not take the player, but take maybe the picks in compensation, because these are some pretty ridiculous offers for a 29 on the decline tight end. But I think once we kind of finish the roster preview here, I think Mark Andrews could be a good sell now candidate just to get some more value, help speed up this rebuild. Receivers got Zay Flowers, who's a fun player, but again, it gives me concern about the salary cap because he's another player that's very commonly available in free agency. You get DeAndre Hopkins, veteran win now player, Rajad Bateman, 81 star. There's solid player there. Ricard, Derrick Henry. We're not going to go all on Firesale. I think Derrick Henry is going to retire a Raven at this point. We have Keaton Mitchell. We have Justice Hill. We got bodies. We got dudes in this backfield, and obviously Lamar Jackson is an elite talent. Defensively, this is another area that's going to need a little bit of work. Kyle Hamilton as an X factor. We have Malachi Starks, the rookie out of Georgia. That was an awesome pick. Even though, when you take over the start today, is he actually playing that bad? He's going to get hit with a -4. You have Mike Green, who pretty sure is a terrible person, but league didn't suspend him, so we're going to keep him on the team. We just obviously won't really hype him up too much. Roquan Smith, you got Trenton Simpson, who's one of my favorite linebackers in the game. Van Noy is a veteran. We're probably going to need to get a replacement there at some point. Maybe the Canadian, Tavius Robinson, could have an expanded role at some point. But we need for either him or a Jabo to get a dev trait role. I don't need anything crazy, but we can get either one of these guys up to a star. That will certainly help raise their ceiling and upside. We have another Canadian actually in Brent Urban. Shout out Baltimore for valuing us, your border buddies up here. You got Travis Jones, dev trait player, has a solid ceiling. Secondary, Marlon Humphrey, 90, superstar. He'll pull in the slot. You got Nate Wiggins, who's a very promising corner. You got Jair Alexander at an 87 X Factor. Bizarre that's still his rating. He's one of the more washed corners in the league. But I ain't going to complain. That is what his rating is. So we are going to, I think he's only here on a 1-year deal. So we'll maximize that and see if he can help spearhead a turnaround from this 1-5 start with Lamar Jackson returning after the bye. So we are going to send Mark Andrews to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think the Bucs, looking at the NFC is wide. The whole NFL is wide open right now. There's literally no good teams. But when you look at the Bucs, they could absolutely utilize a tight end. So the fact that, Mark Andrews in real life, his value in stock is not as high as it is in Madden, because in Madden, he's still on the right side of 30, 90 superstar tight end. So I had to again, anytime I make any trades, I want to try and least overpay, at least get in the discussion of overpay. The Ravens were offering me a second, a fifth, and a player. Can't remember. I think the player was Rashad White or something like that. Okay, keep the player. I'm going to send you Mark Andrews to a 3rd-round pick this year because that 2nd-round pick is very valuable here in 2026. And I want to get that because that is going to be a big-name, hopefully college player that's going to help the realistic rebuild aspect of this rebuild. We're also able to get a 2027 4th-round pick, which is a good money round pick for us once we get to 2027 when we go back to a Madden-generated classes, that 3rd, 4th round. So this is where we can do a lot of damage. But again, we're not necessarily in a fire sale, but I think at 1-5, while the season can still be salvaged, I think Mark Andrews has not had the best time over the last 24 months as a Baltimore Raven. I think a fresh start for him could work out. And obviously we don't make this trade without having someone like Isaiah Likely, who could very well develop into a long-term tight end 1 already on the roster. Chidobe Awuzie's kind of surplus in our secondary, 83 star dev player. And the Baltimore Ravens straight up are saying, hey, 4th-round pick. Okay, cool. We'll take it. So we have $61 million of salary cap after the trades. I think Jair Alexander, I think we realize that maybe similar to Mark Andrews. Looks a lot better in Madden than he is in real life, and this is realistic. I don't think Jair Alexander will be getting a contract extension. I think Linderbaum would. Clearly an anchor on that offensive line, so let's give him a 5-year deal and lock him in for the rest of the rebuild. We have Isaiah Likely, I think after the Mark Andrews trade. It's another scenario where this is just a guy that we absolutely want to keep. So we'll go 4-year, $38 million for a guy. I think he can get to Mark Andrews' level. Travis Jones at nose tackle. I think the one thing we need to always be conscientious of, because our salary cap is getting a little light, nose tackles are the most replaceable player in all of Madden. Especially once you get out of the Madden-generated classes, nose tackles grow on trees. Now, we'd have to go probably a year. How much money do we got? We got like a decent enough of money. I think we got to keep Ricard at fullback. Awesome player. Integral to the identity of this team that we do not want to change. We do not want to change the fact that Baltimore still, historically, is going to, we're going to build in the trenches. We're going to be able to run the football because that's what it takes to win in the AFC North. I think Van Noy's probably, let's get younger there. Same with DeAndre Hopkins. Ajabo, unfortunately, hasn't developed. Filet is replaceable. Our Darius Washington, we just have so much depth at safety right now that doesn't, maybe you could play nickel. Do we view him as a nickel corner? Because you could but we just have so many players. Because you have Malik, there's just ridiculous depth at safety. I like to keep Keaton Mitchell. I think this is going to be probably a really reasonable year. 5 years, 16. And he's going to be our backup. Maybe even someday potential successor to Derrick Henry. And you know what? I don't hate the idea if Travis Jones will take this money. Just 2-year rental. And then we could look at drafting one of those generated nose tackles in 2 years' time. Okay, we got a breakout scenario for Trenton Simpson, who I think is absolutely a baller. Probably one of my favorite user linebackers in the last couple Maddens. So for him to potentially get a superstar dev if he plays well, 6 tackles and 1 sack, INT forced fumble, doable. We end up winning the game. 2 straight wins, kind of getting back on a rhythm here. 2014 over the Vikings, so it's a low-scoring game. A chance for Simpson, who we have starting at sub-linebacker alongside Roquan Smith. To hit on this scenario, we have a different goal, but defense, you guys play. Oh, this is going to be, you didn't hit it. But here's some XP to make you feel better. Well, I'll tell you what, Jesse Minter taking over this defense, you're already having players break out. That wasn't happening under Harbaugh. And if there was any fear that maybe Lamar Jackson could struggle picking up a new playbook, especially, obviously it won't realistically happen this way, but in season, well, we're on a good winning streak. We just beat the Browns and Jets, as we should. But in the Jets' victory, Lamar Jackson gets AFC Offensive Player of the Week with a 5-touchdown performance. So at the end of the year, we got hot, and then the wheels kind of came off at the end. But I think we were 1-6 before we started winning, 8-9. So that's 7-3 for the bulk of it. Unfortunately, we slip up against Green Bay. It's a playoff caliber team. We slip up against the Steelers, just losing. But that game didn't really matter. It wasn't like we win that game, we win the division or anything like that. Pittsburgh had a 2-game lead. We come 9, which, you miss the playoffs. You can honestly try to lose as worst as you possibly can to get a better pick. We're going to be picking middle of the mall, which makes it a little bit more challenging to go get a game changer. But what I do like is, offensively, the new philosophy still worked out well. We had a top 10 offense. Our passing offense could be better, but we still had classic Baltimore Ravens, a top 5 rushing offense. Our defense overall got to get better. You bring in someone like Jesse Minter, it is to correct the defense, so we'll keep tabs on that. We did have a really good run defense, though, top 5 in the league. Take a look at the stats. Lamar Jackson was pretty damn good. 3,300 yards, 34 touchdowns to 4 picks, almost 70% completion percentage. So, late game, older, mature Lamar Jackson becoming a little bit more of a pocket passer, which is awesome to see. It still gives us some rushing numbers. 420 yards on the ground with 3 rushing touchdowns. We had 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns from the ageless wonder Derrick Henry, who I don't think retires sooner than later in franchise mode, but definitely needs to be something we keep tabs on. Guys, even with the contract extension for Mitchell, that was just more so he's a good player with a high ceiling because he has a dev trait. But he's, that's not to say if Derrick Henry retires, I'm not going to go try to find another running back. Receiving, we had Zay Flowers just go over 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns, which Makes a whole lot of sense. He is the most talented receiver on this team. Isaiah Likely with good production, 69 catches, 663 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Probably not too far off of what you get out of Mark Andrews. Bateman with a respectable year, 655 yards, 6 tutties. D-Hop, solid. Defensively, we have Roquan Smith and Trenton Simpson, both going over 100 tackles. But look at this stat line from Trenton Simpson. He's a sub linebacker. We do not have him as like a pass rusher or anything like that. 10 TFLs, 8.5 sacks. We got 10.5 on Van Noy, 4.5 Travis Jones. The Canadian Tavius Robinson with 4 sacks. Buchanan 3.5. Mike Green 3.5. Obviously we'll get hopefully a healthy Matabuike going into next season, which will be a big help for us. Interception numbers not nearly good enough for having Starks, Hamilton, and Wiggins in particular in our secondary, an area we need to improve. After still missing a month, Lamar Jackson comes top 3 in MVP voting, and we get an award winner. Trenton Simpson wins linebacker of the year. So no Derrick Henry retired, but still a considerable loss. Kyle Van Noy led our team in 10 sacks, has retired after 12 seasons. We're gonna have to find a replacement there. Either Ojabo needs to step up, or could push up our draft need list to find that hybrid edge rusher. Now, as we clean our lockers, from a dev trade standpoint, we got, maybe there was always a chance that Derrick Henry could regress. He is still a superstar X factor. We have Zay Flowers with a really productive year, up to a superstar dev. So hopefully that continues his development as a clear-cut wide receiver 1 for us in this rebuild. No other dev traits up or down. On the defensive side of the ball, we get Humphrey keeps his dev traits. Again, just somehow Jair Alexander doesn't regress any. Trenton Simpson for winning linebacker of the year takes the upgrade up to a superstar. And maybe with how his production and his stat line look with the sacks, he's our Kyle Van Noy replacement full time. We're going to decline the 5th-year option on Zay Flowers. We're going to reward him with a new deal next season. Salary cap's a little bit tight, so we do need to kind of comb over this roster and free up some funds where we can. We get about $2 million by moving off Cooper Rush. I was kind of hoping this is my first time doing an online franchise with the start today roster. That maybe free agency would be a little bit better. Nope, Jair Alexander's probably one of the best players available. I know Leo Chenal is here, and if we're trying to release Van Noy, some similarities. And the contract value is not crazy, but there are 19 teams interested, so that price is going to be probably going to a team that has a lot more base starting interest. And we don't need to get in a pissing match. We only have $43 million of cap. We got to pay Zay Flowers next year. It's probably not the best time to just spend needlessly. We have a decently high pick. We got to hit with that. So to kind of power rank our team needs, I'm thinking, a wide receiver 3. Assuming we're going to keep Zay Flowers in the slot. So an outside wide receiver would be a need. We could go guard. And I did set my focus scouting to interior line. Don't really love the idea of going guard with our first pick, but that makes sense. We also have Emory Jones here as a dev trait. Could we potentially, when the dust settles, he could maybe play guard. He's 320 pounds. I don't love just lazily doing that, but we could very well look like that and grab a guard at some point, and we'd feel a little bit better about our offensive line. We do need some tight end depth. That could come in free agency. But I would say guard is certainly an A-tier need. I would say wide receiver 3 would be a B-tier need. Defensively, we need a pass rush, potentially, especially if BPA lines up there. If not, I could have a little Canadian bias and go with Robinson. But we do need someone that can replace Van Noy. D-line, Matabuike and Jones should be able to get that job done. In the secondary, need a outside corner. We're going to have Humphrey in the nickel, Wiggins on the outside. So that's probably another A-tier need. So edge rush A-tier, outside corner A-tier, guard A-tier. Secondary needs would be maybe some D-line depth and that wide receiver 3. So with our focus scouting, we did get the guards kind of figured out here. Look, there's value here. Logan Taylor of Boston College is a 2nd, 3rd round talent in day 3. We also have Caden Green, 1st, 2nd round talent. Not much else outside of that at center. Ooh, we got some illegal names here. Classic illegal names. It is a good center class. Brailsford, Pacho Laulu, Jake Slaughter. Actually kind of getting dogged on their talent. Again, not my draft class per se. On the other side, we have Ernest Green from Georgia, 2nd, 3rd round pick, day 3. That could work out. We also have Walker Parks from Clemson as a draftable player as UDFA. But it's clearly not a strong guard class. We're not going to want to use a 1st round pick there. I think wide receivers, another position we kind of just wait and see how the board falls. There's some good wide receivers this year, but I would more so, I think like this could absolutely be like a Surratt, Nick Harbaugh. We need someone on the outside. Bryce Lance, Trey Lance's brother, North Dakota State's a dog as well. But there's a bunch of other options. So for pass rush, I think David Bailey could make some sense. I think Dennis Sutton could make some sense. Uyunglele could also make some sense. He'll potentially get some love here. Arvell Reese, who could just, he could be like the next big hybrid, like a Jahad Campbell type. He could also make a whole lot of sense. In the secondary for an outside dude, Mansoor, Delane, just to kind of cover our bases at corner. Yeah, we'll go 2 edge rushers and a corner. You look at the final mock draft, because for some reason mock draft 5 didn't generate. Okay, pretty self-explanatory. David Bailey, who did scout, is going at 7. Uyunglele, who I could very well also I thought would fall to us, he's going at 10. Gerard McCoy's going at 11. Dennis Sutton at 12. We do have Mansoor Delane potentially on the menu here at 15. Still have some guards there going. Some other pass rush. Cassius Howell from A&M's having a hell of a year. Jeremiah Love, is this the year we just say screw it? Derrick Henry's going to retire next year. Let's get the best running back available. Also makes some sense, but I honestly think at this point Delane could be the guy. I wouldn't hate that pick. But because it's also mock draft 4, I don't know how much validity and stock we can put in this kind of being the final order. All right, so we go all the way here to pick number 15, and the board does kind of hold true. As David Bailey goes at 7, he probably would have been my first choice of guys that could potentially fall to us. Uyunglele going at pick 10 to the Bears certainly would have been high on our board. Jermon McCoy going 12 to the Panthers also makes some sense. So sitting here at pick 15, Dennis Sutton did fall, but I'm thinking, and we also have Jordan Tyson at wide receiver. That is pretty same with Malik. Oh, Keldric Faulk. He's also a pretty fun selection there. And he's 6'6", 285. Not listed, that's what he's in real life. But Mansoor Delane, we did scout him at corner. He's the number 4 graded corner in PFF. PFF's 14th ranked player right now with a 90 grade. The senior transfer from Virginia Tech. He does look pretty good. Let's do it. Trust our guy. I think corner's where we got to go. Replace Jair Alexander. Now I think long-term, Humphrey in the nickel. We have our outside and Wiggins and Delane. And we'll see. Because I think defensively, that pass rush, that struggle, I think we're going to get Madubuike back, and he's a pass rusher on that defensive front for us to, go Delane here over Keldric Faulk. Oddly enough, that's the number 13 and 14 player PFF. Delane is number 18 in true value, pick 15. So maybe not the best true value pick, but that's a hell of an athlete. Day 1 started for us as a rookie. Now, I thought about trading up. There were some interesting players still available for our needs. Seeing that wide receiver 3, Lemon and Jordan Tyson and Carnell Tate all falling. Denzel Boston, really all the wide receivers fell out of the first round in the top part of the second round. Arvell Reese also could be interesting because he's kind of that hybrid. Same with Anthony Hill. But we decide, maybe unfortunately, regretfully, looking at how the board fell, to stay at pick 47. Keldric Faulk is still there. Overton is still there. Now, do we still have any guards that are worth taking? Taylor, second, third round talent. Second, third round talent on Ernest Green. Now, if we can get him in the third round, I think I'd be pretty happy with that. Keldric Faulk free falling out of the first. Hey, you can't look that gift horse in the mouth. Number 31 in true value at pick 47, dev trade player out of Auburn. And a great scheme fit for what we're trying to do defensively. 57, we're going Dante Corleone, the Godfather. And then we're going to see if in the third round we can still get Green. Oh, we don't have a third round pick. We don't have a fourth round. Okay, we got to. Ah, that's not going to work out. But we get Corleone, who could be a successor there to Travis Hunter, who only got a 2-year deal at edge rusher, and Logan Taylor, second, third round talent at guard here, still aboard. B pass block, A run block, 6'7", 308. You know, NFL size, pro ready size, 62 in true value at pick 103. Normal dev. I think we try and see, like, who is the most upside wide receiver on the board left. And I would say it's probably between Jeremy Bernard, who has terrible letter grades, athletically speaking, maybe even dogged him a little bit, or we have the speedster Barian Brown from LSU, who ran the 4. I think we treat this almost as like if this was a generated player. Would the tiebreaker be between two players? I'm going with the fastest one in the draft. 149 in true value at 111. Ooh, no dev trait, but he does at least come with unteachable, undeniable athleticism. Next up, we need some tight end depth. We're going to look at Jack Velling out of Michigan State. I'm pretty sure he was like, was it Pac-12? He was like tight end of the year. Conference player of the year before he transferred to Michigan. I can't remember where he came from. I feel like it was Pac-12. But there we go. We need some more depth. Next up, we'll grab Keon Sabb, some depth at free safety. We lost Gilman and Washington to free agency and a good value pick. So take a look at our draft recap. Feel pretty good, all things considered. Got some nice depth. We got, tight end depth here in Velling and Royer. We get safety depth in Keon Sabb. We get Barian Brown's elite speed. We get Taylor in the 4th round, 72 normal. We get Corleone in the 2nd round from that the trade with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for Mark Andrews. And we get Dante Corleone, nose tackle depth, 74, like legitimate top 35 player talent. Keldric, Faulk, shocked that he fell to us at pick 15 in the 2nd round. He's 74 with a dev trade at only 20 years old. And then Mansoor, Delane, one of the best corners, arguably the best corner in college football. Pick 15 will be a day 1 starter for us, 76 with the dev trade. So as we go to year number 2, we're going to rely on some new players, but ultimately, we're going to be a team that absolutely shouldn't be as bad as we were a year ago, and I honestly expect to make the playoffs every year from here on out till we win a Super Bowl. Offensively, we're going to go with Emory Jones now at right guard, the rookie Logan Taylor at left guard, and as long as these guys can continue to develop, which they should, everyone outside of Stanley still has a lot of upside. This offensive line is going to come together. Isaiah Likely's first full year as a starter with no more Mark Andrews. Everything else kind of remains the same. Excited to see Zay Flowers, who got the superstar dev last season, if he can continue to thrive in this new system. Defensively, a lot more reliance on our young players to figure it out. Malachi Starks and Nate Wiggins really need to take the next step in their play. Dante Corleone, the rookie out of Cincinnati, is going to have a big role. The rookie Mansoor Delane is going to start, obviously, with Marlon Humphrey in the nickel. Keldric Faulk, still can't believe he fell to us in the 2nd round. He's got to be a dude. He is our like-for-like replacement for Kyle Van Noy, who led the team in sacks last year. Mike Green's going to need to step up. I want to continue to see the growth of Trenton Simpson. Buchanan here as well, 74, will be our starting Sam linebacker. So a lot of young guys that need to step up, and hopefully that doesn't come back to bite us in the ass. Now, midway of year number 2, 5-4. Could be better, could be worse. Could be 2-7 with the Kansas City Chiefs. So we still have plenty to go for. And, as it stands right now, it's not looking like an uber competitive AFC North. Just ride this one out, hold on, and try and get a divisional title. Look at that contract. We declined the 5th-year option on Zay Flowers because we want to get ahead of a mega extension. Oh, no. Okay, well, the bad news is I definitely had Zay Flowers and Trenton Simpson in our plans. So we can get Trenton Simpson locked in. And then Zay Flowers, I think he would take that. So we need to free up $16 million worth of funds, which I'm sure we could do in the offseason, which we probably will do. But there's the challenge where it's not a full-on tear-down rebuild. The Ravens are pretty good, but now you got to deal with underperforming good roster problems, which is trying to keep everybody. So down the stretch, we've got hot. We are 10-6 in a big win over Pittsburgh, especially if we're in the context of the division. We need to kind of handle our games within our division. We've fallen behind, but a win here maybe could get us first place. We have a Kyle Hamilton Defensive Player of the Week in the win over the Steelers. And let's see what happens here against Mark Andrews and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Regular season finale, can we get a dub or do we kind of limp into the playoffs? I will say, we lose. This is on like online franchise mode. That's how you get like the start the day where we started with the Ravens back in year one with the real roster. It is so laggy. There's like input delay. Can't stress enough. While it's annoying, we should be able to kind of have that real life starting point and be offline franchise. But that's not really a hill we're going to bitch about in today's video. We make the playoffs. Year 2, we go 10-7, which maybe is a little whelming. Now, statistically for our team, it is kind of refreshing to see Lamar Jackson not struggle. Like, my in-depth experience is like more so in like our Raiders franchise, where like Lamar Jackson's not, like, I've seen many years he's getting closer to 20 total passing touchdowns than he is getting over 30. So I'm happy that he is thriving in this new system and scheme. He's not turning the football over. We're still getting like somewhat respectable rushing numbers as well. King Henry is king. Do we need to start to entertain the fact that is Derrick Henry, obviously in the NFL, he's going to be one of the all-time greats. But like, I still think most people are going to put, you know, the Barry Sanders, maybe even the Adrian Peterson, maybe, right? But I think if you're taking full running back career, full high school, college, pro, is Derrick Henry, when all is said and done, like if he can keep playing like this, going to be the greatest of all time? Because obviously his high school stats are literally insane. Like he averaged 300 rushing yards a game. Like if you've never seen Derrick Henry's high school running back stats, I'm going to see if I remember when I'm cutting editing. I'll share the clip. Like insane. And then obviously crushed it at Alabama. That has been incredibly I think the body of work that Derrick Henry has done, and I hope he doesn't retire, because obviously playing like this, let's keep going. Let's see where we can put him all-time in NFL. But I think in full career, there's never been a more dominating running back in the history of the world than Derrick Henry. Zay Flowers crushed it. I mean, that's the big worry for this team. I do love seeing Rashad Bateman go over 1,000 yards, and Isaiah likely have a big-time year like that, because there is still a chance we can't figure out a way to manipulate the salary cap to re-sign Zay Flowers. But I really hope we can, because he is thriving with Lamar Jackson and really taking his game to another level. Defensively, Roquan Smith, Trenton Simpson, Hamilton, and Humphrey all over 100 tackles. We got 8.5 sacks, Mike Green, 6.5 from Madubuike, 6 from the rookie Faulk, 5.5 from the rookie Corleone, with 4 sacks from Trenton Simpson. So, I mean, not brutal, but certainly not a prolific pass rush. Interception numbers aren't too bad, though. 4 picks, Marlon Humphrey, 3 from Trenton Simpson, 3 from Kyle Hamilton, 2 from Nate Wiggins, and 1 from our first-round pick, Mansoor Delane. Lamar Jackson comes in at number 3 in MVP voting, as well as runner-up for Offensive Player of the Year. Derrick Henry also making the top 5. And he's an ageless wonder as Derrick Henry gets running back of the year. In the first round, we go on the road against the Denver Broncos, 10-6-1. They have a higher rated defense, a top 10 defense overall. But when you look at our rankings, third, I mean, fairly consistent with what we saw in year 1, with mostly, like, obviously that most of the stats are Ravens playbook, moving to the Chargers. But we still have really good run defense, a lot better defense than what we saw last year overall. Still not elite by any means, but the offense is elite. 3rd in points, 6th in passing, 1st in rushing. I think we should be able to, like, go on a little bit of a playoff run here. And now, I did look at your guys' feedback. I'm always looking at your guys' feedback, but because our Titans realistic rebuild was the first one, some people said they want to see maybe more slow sim when we take a look here at the playoffs. What I think we'll do is kind of the middle ground, so that, because a slow sim can end up being like an extra half hour if I do it every time I make a playoff game. I think championship and or Super Bowl will be slow sim. Everything else will just fly by with the seat of our pants in the front row. Let's go on the road at altitude. You know what? We'll take him to deep waters. You know what's probably the most difficult thing to do when you're struggling to breathe? It's trying to stop Derrick freaking Henry. So we are operating a couple great drives here in the first half, up 14-7. But Denver's not going away. Denver's just an annoying team. They're annoyingly not bad. I'm not going to say they're really great at anything, but like when they're going, their pass rush can be elite. They have one of the best corners in the league. Sean Payton, if he gets in his bag, can be one of the best play callers in the league. But what you are seeing here is like, to a man, our roster is better. Our star talent, our high-end talent is better than what Denver has. So we're able to get our first playoff win of the Jesse Minter era. Let's go. And it wasn't really that competitive, as Lamar Jackson plays hyper-efficient football, 70% completion percentage, 1 touchdown. We get 2 rushing touchdowns on 69 nice yards for Derrick Henry. Isaiah likely had a good game. So did Zay Flowers and Bateman. All of our go-to pass catchers stood out here. We had a sack and a half from Roquan Smith, 2 sacks from Madubuike, a sack from Travis Jones, half sack from Green, and the Ravens are rolling. And we're getting no real big dogs on this first run. We get the Jacksonville Jaguars, who obviously they're playing real good IRL right now, and in Madden they have a pretty good roster. Look at that, number 2 defense, top 10 offense. But anytime we are not getting the perennial S-tier teams from an AFC side of thing, we got to consider ourselves very lucky. If we win this game, we're going to be playing the winner of the Texans, the 1-seed Texans, and the Chargers. Still, good roll. No Bengals, no Chiefs. I'll take it. No Bills. And because of the rankings, we're back at home. M&T Bank Stadium. Let's go, Ravens. Ugh, okay, not great. Opening drive by the Jags. Very efficient. Low-scoring game. Lamar Jackson, the offense, got to find a rhythm. Like I'm hoping the new non-Harbaugh era, we can get Lamar to play good in the playoffs. I'm a Lamar Jackson fan. My first ever rebuild that popped off was a Lamar Jackson on the Miami Dolphins rebuild. I've honestly, a lot of my career is due and owed some success in some way, in shape, or form to Lamar Jackson. I am a Lamar Jackson stan, but he does not play well in the playoffs. How many signature playoff wins does Lamar Jackson have? 1, maybe? Fall short again. Terrible performance. Defense didn't show up, but the offense with only 7 points is completely unacceptable. And now we shift to, like, how the hell are we going to be able to keep Zay Flowers? This is an offense we can't lose. Zay Flowers in any way, shape, or form. We're barely scoring enough points as is. We can't lose our 90 superstar wide receiver. Lamar Jackson was, solid. It wasn't like he had a bunch of turnovers or anything like that. Our run game was efficient. But we just, 7 points is 7 points. That's simply not good enough, especially against Jacksonville. Now, just in case he retires, don't know, he might not. 1,400 yards, 135 rushing touchdowns for Derrick Henry. Beast. GOAT. And he is gone. I'm glad we did that. 11 years. Feel free to let me know in the comments. Do you agree with that? I'm not saying, I'd still take probably Barry Sanders from what I've seen in the NFL over Derrick Henry. I might take Adrian Peterson at his peak over Derrick Henry. That's a debate, though. I will admit that is a debate. But I think all-time, high school, college, pro, I don't even think it... I think if you took the stats of every running back, every Hall of Fame running back from high school, college, NFL careers, put it together, I don't even think anyone's in the same stratosphere as Derrick Henry. So the good news, in a way, with Derrick Henry retiring is that it did free up the funds to get Zay Flowers. I like the 4-year deal. I think we're going to need to give him a little bit right there. 4-year, 120. Nice. That is the good news. We're going to decline the 5th-year option on Nate Wiggins to get ahead of that contract next year. Marlon Humphrey's been a great player for us. Oh, we're close. No one else I need to re-sign. So I restructured the contract of Tyler Linderbaum, and that should give us, we don't have crazy money, but that should give us enough to at least get 1 more year of Marlon Humphrey as our nickel. Now this is the rebuild where I'm fine with the god-awful garbage rolls that you get in free agency. We only have $4 million, so I'm glad that we're not sitting on the sideline here, literally seeing an S-tier guy that we really, really would want slip through the cracks. It's a bad class. We want to get better. We got to get better the right way, which is through the draft. So as we go into the draft, guard was still kind of a question mark, but Taylor and Jones have really kind of made that position their own. And I'm not necessarily ruling out, with our salary cap issues, Jones could eventually go back to right tackle because Rosengarten's contract could not be the best. But Ronnie Stanley's probably the only guy on the offensive side of the ball that we might have to worry about regression and finding a successor at some point. Also need to note that Isaiah Likely took the jump last year from star up to superstar, making that Mark Andrews trade that much better. We could go running back. I don't know if we really want to put all our eggs in the basket of Keaton Mitchell being a star running back for us. But maybe also we've seen firsthand in our Raiders franchise just how damn good he can be. But, all those things are like secondary needs. I think maybe there's a baller running back. Maybe. But I would say running back would be a B tier. I think young tackle, if that's BPA, could be a B tier need. Still could look for another wide receiver. Obviously, Barry and Brown's not really going to cut it. but that would be like a B, C tier need. Defensively, we know we have Marlon Humphrey on rentals. So with Delane and Wiggins, could look at corner. Roquan's not getting younger. He loses his X factor, but still a really good player that I think we can rely on. Buchanan goes from normal up to a star dev. Faulk is a star dev. Starks and Hamilton should be good. I mean, those contracts are coming up as well. I mean, we're really just like in a BPA type situation going into this year 2 draft. We look at our focus scouting. The running backs kind of look ass, unfortunately. I mean, we have Keaton Mitchell. We could try it for a year. We did kind of keep our scouting on guards. We have a stud in Owen Scott, first, second rounder as a UDFA. We have a top 5 talent scouted, which means he could be like an 80+ in Troy Byrne here from Bama. Another late pick here, Foot, first, second rounder. So this makes sense again. If Rosengarten, like maybe move Emory Jones back to right tackle and then just draft a baller at guard. Totally a possibility. But for our like secondary needs, I think linebacker could be considered. Like if there's like someone that's like, yes, that is who we want. Ooh, Alonzo. Sub 4.540. Deep pursuit. He looks interesting. Like we'll check you out. Corner, again, we got a rental pretty much on Marlon Humphrey. So like corner long term could be needed. Is there any studs here that would be in our range? So we need someone that's going to be like outside the top 30. So do we have any B's or A's? Parrish, BC, double C's on Mays. Gilmore has an A in zone coverage, A in press. So that looks good. Ball. And these guys have A tackling. That would be helpful. Whoa, down here, look at this guy. A press, A catching, A tackle. Stanton has B. Whoa, look at this. Dom Childers, BA, as a day 3 pick. All right. You are our 3. All right, so at pick 27 of the first round, seeing how the board fell. Yep. Okay, those the top 5 guards gone. That makes us pivot slightly. At linebacker, we had a legit first rounder on Nick Alonso, and in the secondary, a legit first rounder on Gilmore. And what? I mean, do we just try to get all of them? Gilmore. Yeah, let's do it. We'll go Alonzo first. And he ends up being 21 in true value at 27, 89 speed dev trait linebacker. Bad news, classic. It's like I'm controlling the Raiders. Gilmore, that first round corner, went. So, I mean, hey, pick of the litter. We don't really need 2 DBs. We can get Childers right here, first rounder, Dunzo. Maybe you feel better about getting him because of the value. Top 10 player, and we get the dev trait. And he's a scheme fit. Now into day 3, we have running back here, Carl Bentley. He's just the best athlete available. Not too great, but he's second in the 40-yard dash, 4.39. I like the 3-cone drill. Maybe not S tier, but we need to add at least a running back. Number 6'6" in true value at 91. Not too bad. He brings in some really good speed, and he's about 20 pounds heavier than Keaton Mitchell. Now the 4th round, it's time to trust our scouting. We're ready to go. Owen Scott first, second round grade guard, 36 in true value with a dev trait. Let's go. Georgia Bulldogs, good pipeline. And then we followed up with the other first round scouted guard. You never have enough flexibility there. 33rd in true value at 123 with a dev trait as well. So take a look at our draft recap. Feel pretty good about the draft, all things considered. Got a 71 punter in the 6th round. We got Foot and Scott, both 74s with dev traits. Bentley, 72, normal dev. Childers, 77 with a dev trait. And Alonzo, 75 with a dev trait. Do, however, want to go take a little Gilmore. This would have been like, I should have probably went him in the first round maybe because he also was a zone cover corner, 6'2". But you somebody else, hey. We had 2 corners we liked and only 1 linebacker we liked. Fuck! So Rosengarten has kind of become surplus. There's still value there on a rookie contract, 78. The Carolina Panthers just had turnstile Taylor Moton retire, so they need a right tackle. So we're able to get a 4th round pick, which is a still money round pick for us to make a nice investment. And the Panthers get a starting right tackle. So what about midseason? Year 3, 4-4. We got off to slow starts. We're on a 2-game win streak, which feels good. We just beat the Cardinals 38-10, in which Lamar Jackson got a Player of the Week performance. But this is the crossroads of this rebuild. We have almost $200 million of salary cap. We got Lamar first. I don't know if he's going to take it. I hope he does. There we go. So we got Lamar paid. Now let's see how much. Okay, we actually have $100 million of salary cap. If we're trying to prioritize, I think Nate Wiggins makes sense because there's still just upside there. I think Madubuike also would be next up just because he's our best, most reliable pass rusher from the interior. $57 million. We have Roquan Smith, Marlon Humphrey, Travis Jones, Ronnie Stanley. I think Stanley would be next up. Now, I did set my focus scouting to tackle. Let's see. Can we get Ronnie Stanley on a 2-year? Which we can. Now, we don't really even have enough to discuss these two. But in Roquan Smith's case, I know kind of, you look around. I was trying to get the vibes of Ravens fans before I went into this rebuild. And vibes are, man, that maybe Roquan's, I'm not saying he's washed, but maybe there's a little concern there about what's truly going on. The good news for us is Alonzo is a superstar dev. The linebacker that we got in the first round, legit baller. And I'm also going to tell you, because I don't know yet, so I don't want to spoil it, but when I got this guy, Childers, that first round corner, to level 80, it had an ability spot. So I don't know if he's going to be a superstar or an X Factor. I hope he's an X Factor because the corner we missed out on that went to the Raiders was an X Factor. But at worst, he is a superstar dev. So I think a superstar dev rookie could be our replacement for Marlon Humphrey. And I think our superstar dev linebacker will be our successor for Roquan Smith. Again, mixed bag. We're still trying to find a way to get into rhythm. Have a couple easy games. I would say the toughest part of our schedule was the first half. But look, we beat the Bengals, divisional win, 27-10. And who got Player of the Week? Oh, just the guy that we gave the money to because he's our best pass rusher. With Madubuike, 5 sacks from the defensive tackle position. That is outstanding. We're on a 4-game winning streak. We've had, winnable games. Browns, Raiders. We got the Jags. Jags are kind of tricky, but that shows me we got a nice Player of the Week performance. 4 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson in this winning streak. He's as good as any quarterback in the league right now. We also got a big 12,000 XP boost for Keldric Faulk for getting double-digit sacks. And this is a great reminder that in our realistic rebuilds, because I also agree with some of the complaints about Madden, and there go what gets in these videos of, player development and XP being a little tricky. So what I do to keep it balanced is every player will get upgraded as far as a scheme fit. So we're not going to chase the highest rating possible. We are going to make everyone a scheme fit so that when you do get those huge XP gains, it's not like he's getting 4+ overall. We're going to work on making him a perfect fit for Jesse Minter's defense. And we now have Childers' dev trait unveiled. We'll upgrade here again, making everybody a scheme fit. Zone defense, 83, and his dev trait is a superstar. So, end of the day, in an alternate universe, maybe we draft both DBs, and we have a X Factor and a superstar corner. But I think, end of the day, getting that superstar linebacker, especially with Roquan's contract coming up, and getting still a superstar DB here, who will be our successor to Marlon Humphrey, that is a very, very good draft for the Ravens. At the end of year number 3, we go 11-6, tied with the Pittsburgh Steelers, who we get to meet in the Wildcard round to find out who truly is the best team in the division. But I will say, obviously we started with the live rosters for year 1, but I did not think we'd be closing out year 3 and yet to have an AFC North title to our name. But that is where we're at. Looking at our team, points per game is great. Pass rush is solid. Not elite in anything, and we have a top 10 defense, but looking on the other side, the Pittsburgh Steelers have the #1 defense in the NFL. So that is going to be a very, very tricky problem to try to solve. Lamar Jackson continues just to play like an absolute baller, almost 4,100 yards passing, 33 touchdowns, 7 picks. We also have almost another 500 yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. Keaton Mitchell, certainly no Derrick Henry. Like, that's not a brutal year. Yeah, under 1,000 yards, but 15 touchdowns for him. is solid enough that, like, I don't think we have to find a running back, but it might be better to get one for have a more of a complimentary backfield. Zay Flowers continues to be incredible in this rebuild. 93 catches, 1,200 yards, and 11 touchdowns. 8-8 for Isaiah Likely, 8-3 for Rashad Bateman. Defensively, we got a bunch of tackle machines here. Shout out to the boys. We got 14.5 sacks for the second-year man, Keldric Faulk. 12.5 for Namdi Madubuike. 10 for Mike Smith. Mike Green. 6.5 for Trenton Simpson. 5.5 from Dante Corleone with 5 picks. Hamilton. 4 from Marlon Humphrey in his final year as a Raven. Roquan Smith finishes up his career with the Raven. Very strong season. 146 tackles with 3 picks. We get 2 award winners this year with Lamar Jackson winning quarterback of the year, and for the second time, Trent Simpson is linebacker of the year. It's because it's also both end of the line. Let's reflect on the careers that they've had to this point. Marlon Humphrey, obviously a one-club player to this point. 27 picks on just under 700 tackles, and we got over 1,300 tackles, 81 TFLs, 27 sacks, and 13 picks for Roquan Smith. So we won our wildcard matchup last year against Denver. This year on the road, Heinz Field. We're not calling it by its sold-out name. This is going to be a battle, man. Probably, as an Eagle fan who I respect all the NFC East rivalries, my favorite non-NFC East rivalry game usually is Pittsburgh-Baltimore, when they're both pretty good. Let's see, man. Low score. I mean, this is as Pittsburgh-Baltimore as you're going to get. 10-point score in the first half. Checks out. Touchdown Baltimore to start the second half. We got a 3-point lead going into the fourth quarter. Need that defense to show up. We get a turnover. Ooh, low scoring. 3:01. Can they get into field goal range? It is a turnover on downs on 4th down. No, let's go. Defense gets it done. That's as Pittsburgh-Baltimore scoreline as you're going to get. Let's go. 10-7. We win on the road, adding more fuel to fire in this rivalry matchup. They have a new quarterback, DeAndre Peel. Not enough. Had the turnover. Lamar Jackson protected the football, did what he had to do to win. Keaton Mitchell with a rushing touchdown, 71 yards, Zay Flowers. Defensively, I'm not trying to get rid of Roquan. It's just Trenton Simpson is our star linebacker. He's won linebacker of the year twice. We just drafted a superstar. If there's a way we can keep Roquan, I think we'll try and find a way, because this is just absurd. 10 tackles, 2 TFLs, had a pick and a forced fumble. We also had 4 sacks by Namdi Madubuike. Defense, that one's on you. Appreciate it. All right, we got Kansas City for the second time in 3 weeks. They defeated, it was a shootout, 37-31. Not like a game that I'm totally worried about that we can't compete. This is the number 1 versus number 2 offense as far as points scored. They have the number 2 passing offense, a top 3 rushing defense. It's going to be tricky. And we're on the road to Arrowhead. We're going to be road dogs. We can go in Heinz Field. We can go into Arrowhead. This is kind of like exercising ghosts. Can Patrick Mahomes finally lose to Lamar Jackson? I don't know what their career head-to-head is, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm so wrong. Kind of feel like when it's been Lamar versus Mahomes, it's been a one-way street. Who's got the better of those matchups? And look at how our defense is playing. Field goals only, and we're making them drive the field, chew up a lot of clock. Points on this drive, 3rd down. I mean, we're going to put this one away. We can't not get any points and let Patrick Mahomes a chance to get 8 points and to tie this thing. There we go, baby. Defense again wins championships in Madden 26, 17-9. A signature playoff win for Lamar Jackson on the road at Arrowhead. Takes down Mahomes and Andy Reid. It was good, man. I mean, you could beat Kansas City. You could beat anybody. And it is a great showing there by Lamar Jackson. 2 touchdowns, no picks. We don't give a single thing up to Patrick Mahomes. Our defense on full freaking display. Zay Flowers, Devontae Walker with touchdowns. Defensively, we got a sack and a half, Madubuike. A sack and a half for the Godfather, Dante Corleone. A sack from Keldric Faulk. Couple PBUs. And this defense, we're going to ride them to a title, I think. Now, what we have here in the championship game is, I mean, we're running the gauntlet here, I suppose. We get the 9-8 LA Chargers, who have a top 10 offense, almost top 5 passing offense, but one of the worst defenses in the league. Like, the best thing about our Ravens team is we know our defense right now is punching well above those ratings. I don't know if the Chargers are. So if the Chargers have in that defense that is 31st in points allowed, 31st in pass yards allowed, knowing that we have this evolved Lamar Jackson that can throw the football, we need to be at least making the Super Bowl here. Don't say it's not Super Bowl bust. It's only year 3 of a 5-year rebuild. But it'd be nice to play with house money and see if we can kind of close this rebuild up by trying to win a dynasty and win a couple more. But this has to be a win. At home as well. Oh, it's a rain game. Okay. Probably wish we still had Derrick Henry at this point. But up comes Pie. Good luck tackling Lamar Jackson. And this is weird because this is going to be Charger playbook versus Charger playbook. Which team is better at the Charger playbook? The Chargers or the Ravens? Come on, man. They went 9-8. They barely went over 500, but they get a pick by Dayan Henley. Touchdown off the pick. Come on, boys. Give me a tutty here. Come on, let's go. 4th down. Go for it. Get the touchdown. We get another touchdown. Oh, okay. Okay, I mean, hey, we're not pulling ahead. But everything's to play for in the 4th. We have a lead. We're getting a great drive here. Red zone alert. Take advantage. Boom, 21. And they get the insta score. Our defense. Keep them out of field goal range. When you can rely on your defense, which is what we need to be able to do. Because we have a fine mix of studs that we've been able to draft, guys that we've been able to develop, and veteran players at all 3 levels. This is a complete defense. And when we've needed them to set up shop and get us a victory, that is exactly what they're able to do. And Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, with Jesse Minter at head coach, are AFC champions, and we're going to a Super Bowl. Lamar with his first turnover of the playoffs, but other than that, in really, really terrible conditions, 260 yards, 2 touchdowns, 66% completion percentage. I'm happy with that. Our run game's kind of been non-existent in this playoff run, which has been a little frustrating. But Isaiah Likely, 9 catches, 94 yards and a touchdown. 7 for 70 for Zay Flowers. Rashad Bateman getting in the end zone. And defensively, freak. Nnamdi Madubuike has 2 4-sack games in our 3 playoff matches. That is a machine. And the Super Bowl has been set. The 11-6 Baltimore Ravens against the 12-5 Green Bay Packers. And as you can see, every single little number there is green for the Baltimore Ravens as a squad is concerned. But every little green number, as far as playing on the field, I'll give advantage to Green Bay. We score more points, but they have the better passing and rushing game. Our defenses are pretty much identical. So that's going to be an interesting battle to see who can get the most there out of who can play better on the day, and I'm taking us for how we've played this whole stretch. Looking at the Packers, Jordan Love, very good. 4,600 yards, 40 touchdowns on the season. Josh Jacobs crushed it. It was 1,500 yards. They had 2,000-yard receivers, almost 3. And when your non-1,000-yard receiver gets 16 touchdowns, plus Tucker Kraft's no slouch, that is a pretty terrifying passing offense. From a pass rush standpoint, obviously, they got Micah Parsons. Devontae Wyatt's developed into a really, really nice player. Is that Keanu Benton from the Steelers? Okay, so they're very good. That's a very, very good team. I think we have a Super Bowl matchup here where it truly is the best team from each conference representing. I think our defense with Lamar Jackson deserves to be the top dogs in the AFC. I think we saw, looking at the stats and breaking down the Packers, I don't know how many teams were stopping them in the NFC side. We're in another downpour. What do we got to do to get in a dome here for a Super Bowl? But, hey, our run, we've had 2 rain games in a row. I don't know if Green Bay has. So we have got ourselves here into the conditions that I think we're going to be able to handle it here. So, a little bit back and forth. Defense, it's going to be an ugly game. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. 0-0. We got another 4th down conversion. And let's see what the fellas can do here. And I saw in the comments, you guys want me to, how do I slow sim this? All right, here we go. What I'm going to try to do, I don't want to do the whole slow sim because that's going to take forever. But in the tight clutch moments when we have like red zone drives, I'd love to show the short sim for you guys. So there we go. We got Bateman in motion. Lamar takes the snap, hands it out to Keith Mitchell up the middle. And the undersized running back. That is, let's go. What do we got now? 2nd and 1 on the 6. Downpour, 0-0. I'd like to see maybe Lamar Jackson keep this. Look at that. We're doing what you need to do, and that is if you're going to run the football, run towards Micah Parsons' side and Keaton Mitchell, the replacement. Not successor. You can never succeed Derrick Henry, but the replacement, which we said we went from King Henry, who's, what, 250, 260, to a 183 soaking wet pound running back. What a freaking play there. And they get it. Touchdown. All-time snooze fest Super Bowl, but if we can win, a Super Bowl win is a Super Bowl win, and look at the freaking weather conditions. 2nd and 4 at midfield. We don't have to go a whole lot more away. Lamar Jackson tucks and runs for a whole lot more. 2 hands on the football. Stop running like you're LaShawn McCoy. But we are in scoring range now. I think it's about time. Get Green Bay to use those timeouts. Even with these conditions, though, you got to be somewhat conscientious about taking a field goal when it's this pissing down rain. 1st and 10 on the 21. I think we hand this ball off here. Or, I mean, you could go for the dag, but there's just too much time on the clock. Yeah, I think that's a smart play. Don't love running Keaton Mitchell on the inside, but we'll be able to use all their timeouts. At least, what? Ideally, even if this goes worse and we don't get a touchdown, like a minute, he, play, oh, we throw it! Completion on the outside, only 100 yards passing. I don't imagine Jordan Love has much better than what Lamar Jackson's been able to put up. And we are built and perfectly fine when our passing offense, we don't need Lamar Jackson to over 350 yards. I think Green Bay, with that stat line and all the 1,000-yard receivers, I think they do. For it to work, we go inside. Keaton Mitchell can get the hard yards. It's not all just outside runs and tosses. That is huge. 1st down, and we're in control. No timeouts. 1st and goal. I honestly like to flex our muscles a little bit and score a touchdown here, but as long as we just got 2 hands on the football, we are in a great position. Clock's burning. We got all of our timeouts. Center it for the kicker. And we'll be playing with house money. Year 4 and year 5 of... Why are we throwing it? This is why you don't super sim. What the fuck? What was that? Timeout. We have 3 timeouts. You guys must be trolling me. You say, "Hey, slow sim for the video." No, I'm playing now. I'm winning this. We were gonna win that Super Bowl. I'm playing. We're gonna win this Super Bowl. That is. Did we not have 3 timeouts? There's no way There's no way. There's no way. All right, they go down the field and score a touchdown. We need to go score a touchdown as well. Fantastic. Unbelievable, man. I'm going to tell you right now, if I don't win this game, I'm probably going to delete. You're never going to see this footage. Because fucking why, dude? 3 timeouts. No, you can't call timeout. Button doesn't respond. Unbelievable. Boom. Suck on that. We're going to go for 2 and win it. More options. Yes. Custom play. Full game. To win the Super Bowl. It's more exciting that way, I guess, than just kick it off. A little field goal to win it. A little 10-7. We go to overtime, a little bit of drama, all right? We'll embrace the shittiness that is Madden 26 and all these sim tools. Baltimore wins with style, 15-14, and finally, Lamar Jackson gets his Super Bowl, and I'm probably certain here he's going to get Super Bowl MVP, but I'll put a little asterisk there because we got to look, especially at Madubuike, the way that he's played with his 4 sack performances a couple times this playoff run. I wouldn't put it past him. But that is what it's all about. Moving on from Harbaugh. It's risky, it's scary, it's unknown territory. But sometimes fortune favors the bold, and it would be a bold decision for them to say, you know what? Do we just kind of want to be like a team that just relies on our talent and then shits the bed in the playoffs? Or do we want to go and get a future head coach that can be the difference maker? That's exactly what we got. We had Minter's defense throughout every single playoff game during this run. It was our defense playing out of their minds. And Lamar Jackson doing what he does best. And the Ravens are Super Bowl champions. Taking a look at the stat line in this downpour. Both passing offenses struggled, but Lamar Jackson, when we needed him most, $180 and a touchdown. Our run game, Keaton Mitchell, pretty much any highlight we got, he was making a big-time play. Zay Flowers, 88 yards and a touchdown. Isaiah Likely was efficient, but on the defensive side of the ball, actually not much. Madubuike with a pretty quiet game, all things considered. So, yeah, MVP, give it to Lamar Jackson as well. Going out on top, Pat Ricard retires after 11 seasons. The GOAT fullback in the NFL right now. That was the end of the season. We leave with some dev trait upgrades. Both Foot and Scott were hidden devs. Both stars. Isaiah Likely continuing to justify moving off of Mark Andrews is now a superstar X Factor. So thriving now, being the lead dog of that tight end room. On the defensive side of the ball, Madubuike back up to a superstar, earned it. We know that Childers was a superstar dev, sick. Trenton Simpson just continuing to just win all the linebacker awards, is up to an X Factor. Alonzo's a superstar. We say adieu to Mr. Roquan Smith. I think out of everybody, Keldric Faulk probably got robbed of a dev trait, but he is playing out of his mind as a 91 overall with that huge confidence boost. So we have $29 million of salary cap. We are going to... honestly, I'm going to accept the option on Malachi Starks just because that 10.5 is probably going to be cheaper than what the extension would be. And we have no money to keep Roquan or Marlon Humphrey. So thank you guys very much. You leave as Super Bowl champions. Now with our limited funds, there's not really a whole lot of opportunity for us to kind of like retool and reload. Maybe like going into next year, year 5, we could explore some upgrades, but with $28.5 million, I'd rather roll that over so that we can get our year 5 extensions next season kind of locked in. All right, so going into the draft, we really are in a weird spot where for my focus scouting, I'm just like best player available, looking for value. We have Dorian Green at running back from Virginia Tech. Looked kind of scary on paper, so I scouted him out. He is a top 5 talent. As soon as you see a running back that's 234 pounds and runs a 4.24, much as we like Keaton Mitchell, that's a special talent. Didn't get the same kind of results here. Earl Mitchell also looked like a freak. Had a catching, 6'2", 220, but not necessarily hit. But I did find another top 5 talent. It's not a slam dunk. I didn't find a goat of all goats. He had a catching, a deep right running, a catch of traffic. I didn't gain any information from his key ratings. I just discovered a little bit more. I think this guy's also an absolute freak of nature. So for our team, we need a third wide receiver. So if I could get Calhoun, maybe we could put Isaiah Likely in the slot or Calhoun in the slot. That would suffice. Or there's a really good running back. And we always kind of said, like, maybe we need to get that Derrick Henry, that 1-2 punch with Keaton Mitchell. Maybe that'll be the missing ingredient for us to be competitive year 4 and year 5. I want Dorian Green. I think this is what we need to consider. And the good news is for a top 5 talent, you don't really want to pay up like super high for a running back. He's going 15th. So I think for us to try to move up to 14 if he's still on the board, I think we could do business with the Dallas Cowboys. It's like he went 5th. Mock Draft 5 can lie. If I have to give credit where credit's due, as we see Calhoun, the top 5 tight end that was supposed to go like late second round, go. You can't find a stud and like a top 5 guy. And sometimes it's when you scout guys as well that are like round 1 talents, but it's almost a lock that if you scout a top 5 talent and they're not like UDFA grade, they're going to get drafted by somebody in the first round, where that wasn't the case in previous Madden. So I will give kudos there, but our board's completely shot, and the 2 studs get severely overdrafted. I don't even think Calhoun, the tight end, was projected to go in the first round in the final mock draft, and there he is going 25 to the Niners. So we're just going to pivot, grab the next best running back. Usually it is safe to grab and draft a first-round projected running back. And for a blind pick, very blind pick, getting 47 in true value at pick 32 was still a dev trait. And, I mean, he's not as good, but 235 with 90 speed. We have 93 acceleration. That's a good player. And a good 1-2 punch that with Keaton Mitchell. Second round, we need that wide receiver 3. We got Will Adams here. A deep route running, F catching, F release. Yes, but he runs a 4.24. Deep threat specialist should check out. Oh, my God, he's a bust. He does have a dev trait. Okay, this is always an interesting exercise. Would you take that big of a discrepancy between true value and where you picked him? It's, that's pretty substantial for a 99 speed dev trait player. I think the answer is yes for probably everybody, but dang, kind of, could he be below a 70 overall? Maybe. Ooh, clock is running down here. Just made kind of a panic pick. B zone coverage, best zone coverage available in the class. We are a zone defense. Max Burks, 108 in true value at 96 for a panic pick. I'll take a dev trade every day of the week. Let's continue to add some speed here. Kirkpatrick, UDFA grade, but yeah, that's passing the smell test for sure. Oh, just the S-tier freak of nature. I think 71 in true value, 128. We got 2 absolute stud athletes coming in at wide receiver from this class. So take a look at our class. Juan Gomez, blind pick, 74 with a dev trade. Don't hate it. Considering our draft board that I thought and who I thought was going to be available was just completely shattered. It is what it is. Adams, 66. So well below a 70 rated, but he does have a dev trait, and for the ass end of the second round, that's not brutal. Burks, that was a panic pick. Dev trait, yes, but also a sub-70 player. We get Josh Staley, 74, nose tackle, cheese. Kirkpatrick is a 72 with a dev trait. And then we kind of just finish out there, adding some more depth. So it's just a weird class, but I can't believe that we got robbed the way we did. Dorian Green, 83 rated. I mean, he's going to be an X factor. This would have been the guy. This would have been such an exciting pick to go get. And I was willing to go get him. But the mock draft just robbed us. I mean, that's also good, though, because in previous years, how many times in older Maddens would I, talk about this trade scenario, make the trade before the draft starts because I'm putting all my faith in the draft order? And then also because Madden is such a good game, it freezes when you look at players here, so that's awesome. But how many times do I make that trade, and then we just watch him go earlier, and then we're absolutely screwed? So by that, it could have been worse. So look at our team as we try and defend our Super Bowl crown. Offensively, not too bad. We just had to kind of furnish the offense a little bit. We added a natural power back to this scheme to be like our Derrick Henry 1-2 punch with Keaton Mitchell. Keaton Mitchell, even while huge in that Super Bowl game and playoff run, square peg round hole for this Ravens offense. We need a power back. That is the scheme fit. So now we have that option. We added a couple freak of nature wide receivers from a speed standpoint. So hopefully that opens up a couple more shot plays for Lamar Jackson. But the big questions come on the defensive side of the ball. We are relying on promising players to take over for established starters. Marlon Humphrey, couldn't afford to keep him. We're going to need Childers, an 85 superstar nickel, to step up. I also would love to see Mansoor Delane, a first-round pick from our big realistic class, for him to have a notable game. He's kind of been just a guy on this defense. I need Madubuike, who had 2 4-sack games during that playoff run last year. I need to see that in season. But the biggest loss was losing Roquan Smith. Would have been easier pill to swallow if he regressed heavily. Not really. He was still just a very good linebacker. We just had no funds. And when we drafted Alonzo, a superstar at the gate, kind of made sense to maybe move on because Trenton Simpson is also an absolute stud, and he's been getting all the awards. Other than that, defensively, I need Keldric Faulk. Doesn't look anything crazy, 84 star dev, but he was our most productive pass rusher a year ago. Not named Madubuike. I'd love to see him keep it up and get another double-digit sack season as we look to repeat here as Super Bowl champions in year 4. So coming into our bye week, perfect 8-0. I think there's some value in the fact that Yes, it's annoying we've yet to win an AFC North, but we're not playing a first-place schedule. We get the second-place schedule. It's been tough. We beat the Bengals. We played the Steelers. We played the Bills. Some tough teams, but, you know, it could always be a little bit more difficult. Looking at our rankings, everything's looking great. But the bad news is our salary cap situation still is not the best. $13 million of cap. So we're looking at Emory Jones here. I did just focus scout tackles for the upcoming class because Emory Jones can't afford it, like not even close to being able to afford that. And there's also a chance Ronnie Stanley could retire this year. So we could be in an absolute red alert going into year 5, trying to win another Super Bowl, our second Super Bowl, down and having to replace 2 starting tackles, which is not great. I don't even think we can retain Mike Green. Also not a good human being, so we're probably not going to worry about that. We have plenty of depth at linebacker here for Buchanan. I mean, he's been a good success story, and we could extend him. You know what? Maybe just to kind of get somebody back in return, we'll re-sign Buchanan. Not gonna lie, losing 3 in a row to end the year, especially, I mean, we get the Patriots again. They're a good team. Dolphins, not so much. Stings a little bit. Definitely feel like we kind of underperformed down the stretch, but, you know, our ratings are fine. Weird to see a Baltimore team with, you know, sim numbers, 26th rushing offense. Usually, even with our changed philosophy, it's usually a lot better. We have the #1 rush defense, and Lamar Jackson is cooking. But more importantly, we get our first AFC North title of the video all the way in year 4. So kudos to the Bengals, Steelers. I don't think the Browns have ever been up there yet for making this as competitive of a rebuild as it has been. Lamar Jackson played well. Top 5 in passing yards. Don't see that all the time. 31 touchdowns, 9 picks is fine. Our run game overall, yeah, not Baltimore Ravens-esque. From a passing standpoint, I mean, really good numbers. Zay Flowers was awesome. Rashad Bateman was awesome. Isaiah Likely was awesome. The rookie Kirkpatrick was also very productive. Probably going to get some nods for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Defensively, taking over with no Roquan Smith. Trenton Simpson, great job. Alonzo, great job. So that was, I'm not going to say a wise decision because it was a decision that we're kind of forced into because of our salary cap, but drafting well and trusting these guys to take over and not panicking with Roquan and not blowing up the team to get money to bring back Roquan, it worked out. Defensively, from a pass rush standpoint, 11.5 sacks from Madubuike, 11.5 for Dante Corleone. He's on that normal dev. That could be a scenario to get him up to a start. Keldric Faulk with 8.5 sacks. Mike Green, you know, I guess out of all these guys, the one that we're losing was the least productive. Interception numbers also fine, but that's kind of, you know, good, not bad, good, not great. Been like that fairly consistently throughout this rebuild. Something kind of cool. Reuben Bain ends up going to the Titans like we did in our first realistic rebuild. Cool. And our only award winner goes to Trenton Simpson, winning linebacker of the year for the fourth time in this rebuild. Dog, man, one of my favorite players in Madden. So we get a home game as we start the journey to defend our Super Bowl champion and win back-to-back. And Lamar Jackson, fully evolved, no longer the running, oh, he's a running back memes. He is, fully committed as he ages, understands that his body's not going to hold up if he's running and scrambling 10, 12, dozen times a game. He has got to fully form into a pass rusher that runs when needs to, and that's what we've been able to accomplish here. So let's see what we do here against the Patriots, who beat us 2 weeks ago. There's no way we get swept twice by the Patriots in a month. Come on. Let's get a touchdown here. How do we still have a field goal only? Brutal, fellas. Only field. I mean, it's a one-score game now. But we need touchdown, 2-point conversion in a game that is, we've barely been across midfield. 4th and 3. Ooh, let's go. 9-yard run. Keaton Mitchell. Ooh, touchdown, 2-pointer. We go to overtime. Ah, we're going to lose it here. That's brutal. I mean, Lamar is getting older. Like, we're at that point in time. If you're committing to a 5-year rebuild with the Baltimore Ravens, you do need to expect year 4 and year 5, your Lamar might not still be the same Lamar that he was year 1, 2, and 3. Lamar Jackson's passing yards were up, but like you could just see from a stat standpoint, not really even in the discussion for an MVP, and he kind of played like that. Kind of pedestrian numbers here for Lamar Jackson. Our run game was very inconsistent. Kind of cool seeing the rookie Kirkpatrick have a big-time performance like that, but like our pass rush was non-existent. No turnovers. Not a single PBU. That's brutal, man. A brutal performance. And I called it. Maybe we get money, salary cap, to re-sign Emory Jones. But as it stands right now, Ronnie Stanley retires after 13 years. I'm happy we're able to get one of the better Raven linemen of all time, a Super Bowl title. But we now, unless we can find money out of nowhere, left tackle, right tackle, both high-level starters are gone right now on the Ravens as we look to go into year 5 and to win another Super Bowl. So from a dev trade standpoint, no dev trades up or down. Kirkpatrick. This guy was like a projected 7th-round pick, a superstar. Okay. And that's what he was. He wasn't, okay, that is unreal. Very good. Also led the team in that playoff game, so that's something to build off of. Lamar Jackson doesn't regress any. The running back that we drafted panically is, I'm almost thinking, do we just move the power back and see if we just get a little bit more juice over scheme fit there? But we have Vincent and Emory Jones at tackle right now. And there's a likely scenario that we don't even have an above 7. I don't think Vincent's under contract either. I have no money to pay any of these fucking guys. We do have 2 depth like Scott. I mean, could Taylor could move to tackle based off of size, 6'7", 310. I might have to cheese that out of necessity depending on where our salary cap situation is. But no other depth traits up or down on offense. Defensively, Madubuike is back up to an X factor, very much deserved. Malachi Starks just decides out of the blue, like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go up dev trade. I've been star dev this whole time. He's now a superstar, but we do lose the X factor on Kyle Hamilton. The good news is we went from $16 million to $57 million of salary cap, so we can offer a 4-year deal to Emory Jones, pretty much just giving him all the money. We'll decline Mansoor Delane here. X decline. No, okay, well, let me decline it. Sick. I mean, could Vincent hold down the fort here at tackle? Like, are we going to be able to draft one that's better? I think we could probably trade a bunch of picks and understand we're going to the 5th final year of this rebuild and be aggressive to go get, a top tackle. We can't offer Mike Green a 2-year. Let's see. You know what? I won't rule out. I won't let my personal opinion on him, but we will let him hit the open market. Just see if we can maybe get a better pass rusher. Sometimes there's like a wild Aiden Hutchinson hitting the open market. That'd be kind of cool. So looking at free agency, we need a tackle. Whoa, CeeDee Lamb. You don't see that all the time. Yeah, he wants more per year than we have available cap, so that's not going to happen. We do have Jordan Mailata at tackle. We might be able to swing that one. We have a right tackle, Brian O'Neill. Pass rush, you got Green. Ooh, Brian Burns. Yeah, he's looking for more money than what we have available. No, I mean, we'll see where we're at with Mike Green. Really competitive market for him, but I think we bring back Mike Green because it's a lot easier, I think, to draft a tackle than it is an edge rusher. And I say that because we focus scout at the tackles, so we have a lot of information. Really annoying that we didn't get the 100% and know the entire class. But we'll scout here Greco as a first rounder. We're very much willing to be as aggressive as we need to come get a dog. So looking at the players here, we have the A's on Leo Turner, B pass block, A run block on Dawson. Yeah, we'll do that as well. Okay. I guarantee we're going to get at least a first round graded tackle, and we're going to go get him. Well, Greco is a second, third round talent. Don't love that. And no, it's not a good year to get tackle. Or do we just say screw it and like blind pick? I mean, this guy looks nearly identical. Ben Minor. And then you got Harrison. I might have to blind pick one of these guys because I'm not loving this. Okay, well, we can't necessarily trust mock draft 5, but at least it can give us an idea of like where the tech. So Greco is going at 14th. Harrison, who we don't have scouted, which I don't know. I don't know if that means he's going to be the best. Oh, yeah, we're going to have to move up. Okay. Let's probably Miami here for the run of tackles. So we're going to overpay. I'm going to send a future second and third to jump up almost 10 spots to get ahead of that run on tackles here with the Miami Dolphins. And this is going to be kind of fun because it's almost like we scout the guys we don't want. We have Silva, Harrison, and Minor. A run block. I'm not going to lie, I might just go with like the best athlete, and it could be Ben Minor here. Top 5 bench press. Unless Silva or Harrison have the first bench press. Ooh, 41 on Carl Harrison. Silva has, I mean, the letter grades aren't as great yet. So that's going to be our guy right here. Harrison. Carl Harrison, 6'7". I know the kids love that. My daughter's saying, my 4-year-old is saying that shit. But there we go. Oh, no. 34 in true value at 16. Does come with a dev trade, and he got crazy eyes. So looking at our draft recap, kind of light. Only other player that I like in the 5th round, we got Jeffers, a dev trade wide receiver out of Ohio State, just slot wide receiver, elite acceleration and agility. But Harrison, 75 with a dev trade. I do, out of just pure curiosity, want to look at the other tackles and just see where we're at. So Greco was the first. He's 74. I'm not going to go check out their dev traits or not because I'll crash the freaking draft. Minor, 74. So Harrison at 75, still tops. Turner, 72. Silva, 76. So the worst combine and the worst letter grades end up being the highest rated tackle. So, I mean, I wasn't really going to be able to sniff that one out. But happy with our pick. So to go to year 5, something you don't usually see. This is a very rare occurrence. Our team rating's actually gone down than where it was a year ago. Like, we're at everything across the board. Some of our players are older, right? And we did lose our tackle situation. But I can't think of too many rebuilds where we're going into year 5 and our team's worse than it was a year before. And results-wise, don't want to hear that. We crashed and burned trying to defend our Super Bowl crown in the freaking wildcard round against the Patriots, who beat us twice in 3 weeks to end our season. So we are really at a spot right now. Whoa! Also worth noting, Adams are not great picks. So we got 2 superstar wide receivers last year in the draft. Obviously, the dev traits are fine. Their ratings aren't really up to par for how we need them to contribute right away. But that's also kind of sick. But we have Harrison now at left tackle. Huge shoes to fill, stepping in for Ronnie Stanley. But other than that, I feel pretty damn good about our offense. Love to see Lamar Jackson play with a little bit more fire to his game. But ultimately, we will see if maybe making the power back our RB1 over Keaton Mitchell adds something. Defensively, this is an outstanding defense. We have, by all accounts, maybe the best linebacker in the game, considering Trent Simpson has won linebacker 3 out of 4 years at this point. Our pass rush is solid. Our secondary across the board, it's as good as it's ever been. So, yeah, all the makings to go and win another Super Bowl. We just need, honestly, Lamar Jackson to play a little bit better. Mid-season, we got one of these great scenarios. And I'm telling you right now, I know a lot of people rebuilds and you go week by week by week by week. But sometimes when you see a breakout, it's not even like you have to go through all the menus to pick like a goal and see if they can get the goal. Sometimes you literally, Zay Flowers, wide receiver breakout out of nowhere. There's been no corresponding interaction with him. It's just like, oh, I'm an X factor now. Zay Flowers now an X. Probably should be as well. He's been so freaking consistent in this rebuild. But I like this change. I'm a big fan. And just on top of that, we are 5-1. A hot start to the year for the Ravens. Even though we had our bye week, which kind of downgrades our rankings there. Like our points per game, our passing yards per game, all of those numbers have unnecessarily dropped a little bit. I think we're going to be able to pick up the pace here and have closer to top 10 passing yard offense. And I think we for sure will be a top 10 scoring offense when all is said and done. Yeah, we figured it out. We go 14-3. Rush yards didn't, moving the change there at running back in the depth chart didn't really do anything too crazy. But points per game, 3rd. Passing yards, 1st. Lamar Jackson got fired, and our defense was dog shit. Ended up being the number 2 defense, a top 10 passing defense. Really weird. I mean, it almost feels random sometimes, like randomized numbers, because we've had an elite run defense this whole rebuild. Now, finally, the pass defense is good. Run defense sucks. Weird. But Lamar Jackson And Zay Flowers Zay Flowers got that X factor in season. Lamar Jackson wasn't anything crazy. Pass yards, not too often you see Lamar Jackson 4,700 yards passing. 33 touchdowns and 12 picks. Also 50 sacks are certainly not the best numbers we've been able to put up in this rebuild. Our run game, again, just couldn't figure out post Derrick Henry. But Zay Flowers, man, special talent. In the slot, 99 catches, almost 1,700 yards, and 18 touchdowns. Why? He's been the slot wide receiver this whole rebuild. Why have we not seen even remotely this production through the first 4 years? I don't know. But happy. Better late than never. Get it in the final year of a rebuild. Rashad Bateman's been solid. Very consistent defensively. What do we got? Simpson, Childers, all with pretty good production. 18.5 sacks. Mike Green. What? I would have believed that maybe it was Madubuike, but Mike Green out of nowhere. Maybe all we had to do was let him hit free agency and then bring him back to get him just remotivated again. Keldric Faulk with 9 sacks as well. 4 picks. Kyle Hamilton. Rest of the interception numbers is just, hey, Ravens, or actually we're technically using the Chargers defense, not great at getting turnovers in the secondary. Our secondary is so talented and the picks just haven't been there. But overall, picks don't correlate to good secondary. Our pass defense was incredible. One of the best in the league this year. We only get one award winner, which is kind of weird with the stat line, but Kyle Hamilton wins Defensive Back of the Year, which if we make the Super Bowl, that should get him his superstar X-Factor ability back. Well, we get the 1 seed. We can kick our feet up. We win our second AFC North title. Cool. Peaking at the right time from that regard, but it's not going to matter if we come out flat and lose one and done in the playoffs like we did last year. Interesting matchup. We get the 9-8 Chargers. Chargers versus Chargers here a little bit. Top 10 passing offense, top 10 defense overall. Pretty good team, but I think that there's levels to this. We should win. 92 overall across the board. There's not too many teams better than us. And what we've lazily been missing, I'm going to make sure, because this is all or nothing, we are going to soup up our abilities here and go in with the best possible ones. So for this playoff run, we are going to be queuing up people movers, riot shield to help out the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, we're going to go with edge wizards, island kings, pressure posse, and trench goblins. Good luck. There we go, back it up. I feel like we've been better as road dogs than we've simulated here during the playoff run, but I think with the right coaching adjustments that we have made, I think we're going to be dangerous down the stretch, especially defensively, which is what we... the year that we won our Super Bowl, it was our defense in the sim just taking games over. Nnamdi Madubuike turning the ball over, getting 8 sacks. And what we have here is an ugly game, and ugly games tend to favor the Baltimore Ravens here. But the Chargers were able to score a touchdown right before halftime, and now we are trailing. We got to try to catch up here. Good drive here in the third quarter, touchdown points. It does feel like one of those games where we score, they score. It's just about making sure we're scoring touchdowns and we hold them the field goal. 17-17, 2:32 to go. At home, can we get a little bit of magic to go on and win this thing? And there we go. We finish it off with a touchdown drive. And at least we do not crash and burn. We have a chance in making another Super Bowl by going to the AFC Championship game. Suck it, Harbaugh. Jesse Minter, former defensive coordinator, was the defensive coordinator of the Chargers when we started this rebuild. Bring him in. Gets one over on his mentor. Look at that. I mean, not a perfect game by Lamar Jackson. 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 65% completion percentage. Good enough, right? That's all you need. Defense definitely gets credit here. Corleone, 2 TFLs and a sack. Sack and a half Madubuike, who has been incredible, especially come playoff time. And shout out Trenton Simpson, who's been maybe the best linebacker in the league with a huge turnover. Man, are we in someone else's rebuild? Miami, probably maybe the runner-up for like our next realistic rebuild. Saw a lot of shouts to do the Dolphins. Did not expect to see them with the Super Bowl on the line in year 5. They have turned it around. 91 offense. Oh, that's why they went and got CeeDee Lamb. They drafted Mekhi Lemon out of USC, who's a stud. They got CeeDee Lamb in free agency. Achane is still ridiculous. And they're the number 1 offense in the NFL. Okay. They didn't do it the right way, though. They just went to free agency. We did it the right way. We are the better team. Let's go win. And we're locked in again with our abilities. Obviously, I don't know. It's always a tough balance to be like, do we factor the abilities in for a rebuild, or do we really, really just want to rely and like lean on the fact that like we're building a team, because we are getting a plus 24 boost. 8 of that on the offensive line, 16 of that defensively. But I mean, it's a mechanic within the game. You gotta use the tools at your disposal. Now, the last time we were in an AFC Championship game, we took down the LA Chargers. This time, a matchup on paper that seems like a little bit more of a slam dunk. But what we do know is that this is a high-scoring Miami Dolphins offense coming in. The best offense in the league. Two of the best offenses in the league. And I would like to think push comes to shove it. The difference maker, it should be our defense. Our defense should be able to make more plays than the Dolphins' defense. Miami strikes first here with the first touchdown of the game. And unfortunately, we go for it on fourth down and get nothing. Dolphins take a field goal. Great touchdown for us. We get an interception, and we're able to tie it up at 10 going into the second half. Everything to play for. Great drive for us here in the third quarter. And a turnover of our own, Lamar Jackson. It's been a minute since he's had a playoff game where we haven't had a turnover. We have to settle for a field goal, which is not great, but we get the insta-score long touchdown, 20-10. And literally what I said, it wasn't like our offense showed up, but I thought, all things equal, our defense is the X factor in this matchup, and holding that explosive offense only to 10 points with the Super Bowl on the line is all you need to hear for how we built our team. But not a great game from Lamar Jackson. 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 55% completion percentage. That is not going to cut it if we want to have any hopes of winning a Super Bowl. Juan Gomez making that bold change. He hits that 93-yard touchdown walk-off winner. That's pretty badass. Isaiah Likely with a touchdown. Defensively, Mike Green with a sack. We got 2 picks from the middle linebacker, Nick Alonso, the superstar, our Roquan Smith replacement. That's pretty badass. And in year 5, the Ravens are back in a Super Bowl. Because we already won a Super Bowl, I can guilt-free. We're going to play the moments here, hop in a little bit, and have some fun. And the Super Bowl has been set. The 14-3, 91 rated Baltimore Ravens take on the 9-8, 86 overall Vikings, who have the worst passing offense in the league, one of the lowest scoring offenses in the league, do have a top 10 rushing offense, have a 6th ranked defense. How in the hell are they in the Super Bowl? Look, Justin Jefferson, who for whatever reason is horrific in the Madden 26 sim, 600 yards. And that's rounding up. That's a considerable roundup that I just gave in there. How the hell did they make the Super Bowl? They were the 4 seed. They beat the Eagles. They crushed the Falcons, win a tough one here over the 1 seed New York Giants. So they're a little bit of a Cinderella team. But this would be a Super Bowl. Huge favorites are the Baltimore Ravens. They got J.J. McCarthy, who just plays turnover-free football. Not a lot of output, but doesn't put the ball in harm's way, which has been an issue. Lamar Jackson's had an interception in every playoff game so far. The run game's kind of like a 1-2 punch there. Jordan James and Bryce Golson. I mean, we know they have the talent there, Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, but that is, a very limited passing offense. And then defensively, they got Anthony Hill Jr. They got 3 guys that can get in double-digit sacks. Dallas Turner, 10.5. Zane Durant, 8. And their interceptions, they do force more turnovers than we do in the secondary. All right, we've been here, man. Lamar Jackson's already a Super Bowl champion. I think everything is in our favor. I think even if I wasn't going to hop in and play the moments, I think from a sim standpoint, this Ravens team, I don't know how we lose this game. I think the only way we lose this game is somehow McCarthy doesn't turn the ball over and Lamar turns the ball over 2-3 times. And they just win an ugly, low-scoring game. Our defense is better. Our offense is better. Our quarterback is better. Our coach is better. But you never know. Weird things can happen. And we have the Vikings going on a run here. But we're already up 7-3, and we're going to come in. We're going to play a lot of these offensive moments. We already have the Super Bowl in base. It's not like I'm going to be, manipulating with my gameplay to get our first Super Bowl. We're playing with house money, so let's just have a little bit of fun. Try to enjoy everything about this team. We'll just go Keaton Mitchell out the back. We know how good Mitchell is from our Raiders franchise mode. Oh, we turn the ball over. We're giving them chances. We're giving them life. Oh, that's annoying. I mean, we might have to play some defense here if they're not going to give us any offensive snaps. 2-second touchdown, Baltimore. I said we would win ugly. Big game. Okay, end of game drive here. We're going to be aggressive. We might throw have a turnover here and give them the ultimate chance. I got to get in the end zone. Right now, this is not helping my ego that I can't move the football. Oh, yeah, perfect. Perfect screen pass. Dude, does play action work in this game? Because, when you're playing on a hard enough difficulty, play action, there's an element, you have to trick the defense for a play action pass to work. And, I feel like there's a certain point that, all Madden, it won't get tricked. It knows that you're not actually running the football. So it just never bites. And I'm looking terrible right now. Doesn't help it's first thing in the morning, but still. Come on, let's get something here. We got Kirkpatrick so fast. Oh! Let's go! We're getting something. We're leaving it. 2 picks, Lamar Jackson. At least that wasn't on me. Could have been way worse. Coach wants a C4 special. Who am I to decline? Ooh. Well, all things considered, they ran that defense pretty well. Okay, we're not going to run. You know what? Actually, we have the luxury. Can we actually hit? It'd be more impressive if we could hit a play-action pass. I think that's Rashad Bateman in the slot. They do bite on it a little bit. Floated in, and Rashad Bateman is in. That is icing on the cake. I mean, just at no point should there have been any way that the Vikings compete with us. We had a weird straight-to-cut scene. Like, they just want this Super Bowl to be over. That's how ugly it was. We don't even get, like, the celebration of the players. Okay, cool. Well, there's our second Super Bowl win in 5 years with this Ravens. So I know they're 1-5 right now. But let's maybe be, like, a little bit progressive of a franchise. Maybe move on from Harbaugh, bring in fresh ideas, bring in fresh blood, and capitalize your winning window with Lamar Jackson in his prime. Good things could happen if they end up doing that. Look at the final stat line. I mean, it kind of went like if we were going to lose, how I thought we could have lost. McCarthy just doesn't turn the football over. We had 2 picks by Lamar Jackson. Juan Gomez was solid. 90 yards, Zay Flowers. Gomez also, I mean, he might be getting himself a Super Bowl MVP. 2 touchdowns on 100 yards, unless someone went off on defense. Got 3 sacks there. No turnovers. Yeah, I'd give Mr. Gomez, who was like our panic blind pick at running back, I'd give him Super Bowl MVP. So as we always like to do when we wrap up our rebuilds, let's take a look at our player stats and look at what they've been able to accomplish over the 5-year period. Lamar Jackson at 40,000 yards passing, 328 touchdowns, 85 picks. It was incredible. Obviously, a change of scheme and system certainly played a part where it felt like we kind of cut his rushing yards in half, but we increased his passing yards by like at least 1,000. I think we will take that for as Lamar Jackson kind of matures a little bit. But I mean, still, the fact that you have a quarterback probably isn't going to retire for another couple years. Like, you could have a 10,000-yard rushing quarterback. That is kind of absurd. Keaton Mitchell was solid. I mean, that will always be a debate. If you guys are going in and rebuilding the Baltimore Ravens, what do you do post Derrick Henry? Derrick Henry retired, after 2 years? I think, in hindsight, I probably would have been more aggressive going out and getting a more complimentary back. I think Keaton Mitchell's solid, but I don't think you could have him be your bell cow. Obviously, he's 186 pounds, and schematically, we need a power back here. So I kind of wish, in hindsight, I would have done that sooner. Receiving, Zay Flowers, incredible, getting that X factor here in year 5, 8,200 yards, 74 touchdowns, absolute beast. Rashad Bateman carved out a nice career. I mean, he was a guy that's kind of on the bubble of, like, was he a bust? Was he not worth the first-round pick? He was solid. You know, I kind of relate that to the Eagles and Nelson Aguilar. Aguilar never really justified being a first-round pick, but came up clutch when we needed him to in the playoffs, where we kind of now look back and like, yeah, it wasn't that bad. I feel like that's kind of Rashad Bateman. Isaiah Likely, that was probably the best decision we made in this rebuild. He developed into an X factor. We traded away Mark Andrews before the very first trade deadline, and that worked out. And with that Mark Andrews pick, we got Dante Corleone, the Godfather, who established himself as a nice player for us. 28 sacks for a nose tackle is pretty badass. Keldric Faulk, 38 sacks. Still have no idea how he fell to us in the second round. Mike Green with 46, 69.5 Madubuike. I'd probably give Madubuike the MVP on the defensive side of the ball in this rebuild. If not him, it'd go to Trenton Simpson, who won linebacker of the year 3 times over the last 5 years. He was an absolute beast. And really the only bummer in this rebuild is we put a lot of resources into our secondary. Drafted Childers, who was a superstar. We used our first-round pick in the big realistic class to bring in Mansoor, Delane, an absolute hawk from LSU. He only has 3 picks. And then you have like Malachi Starks, who's regarded as a blue-chip player. Nate Wiggins, Kyle Hamilton was an X factor for the most part, and just we never really got INT numbers. With that will do our Madden 26 realistic rebuild of the Baltimore Ravens. The perfect time to do it. Like, if we waited a little bit longer, once Lamar Jackson comes back, he might be able to salvage the year, and you end up being a playoff team, and then the Ravens aren't nearly as fun. But at 1-5, well, things are kind of doom and gloom. firing Harbaugh, bringing over Jesse Minter, trading away, some of our surplus, Mark Andrews in particular, rebuilding the trenches. Good rebuild, I think. In hindsight, very good rebuild. So shout out to everybody that suggested that we rebuilt the Baltimore Ravens. But as always, I'm going to be going off your guys' suggestions. So please let me know in the comment section below who you guys want to see for our next realistic rebuild. I think the Dolphins were certainly in the discussion, but if there's anyone else, I always go with the most requested team. I hope you guys did enjoy. If it is your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. Even at worst, if you want to help out with the channel, all I look for in return for the YouTube algorithm, as I always am fighting that to get my videos recommended in other people's feeds. People somehow don't know that I make YouTube content, even though I've been doing this for almost 15 years. Just even for the algorithm. A like and a comment is very much appreciated. And until next time, it is your boy C4 saying peace out, love ya. Have a good one.